Dr. Minji Park sat at her desk, staring at the official email on her screen. Her hands shook as she read it again. The United Earth Science Division had chosen her. Out of all the scientists on Earth, they had picked her for the most important job in human history. "I can't believe it," she whispered to herself. The room was quiet except for the soft hum of her computer. On the wall behind her hung her many awards and degrees, proof of her years of hard work, studying how different groups of people lived and worked together. The email was clear. The Vesh, the first alien race humans had ever met, wanted to study us. They had set up a research station near Neptune 6 months ago. Now they offered a trade. They would let one human study them if they could send one of their own to study us. Minji's phone rang, breaking the silence. It was her boss, Dr. Lee. "Have you seen the email?" he asked, his voice excited. "They want you to go." "Yes, I saw it," said Minji. "But why me? I study human cultures, not aliens." "That's exactly why," said Dr. Lee. "The Vesh don't want a biologist or physicist. They want someone who understands how societies work, someone who can see patterns in how beings live together. You're the best xenoanthropologist we have." Minji looked at the small photo of her father on her desk. Do-hyun Park was now 78 years old and lived alone since her mother died 3 years ago. She called him every day. "I would be gone for a year," she said. "My father." "Think about what this means, Minji," said Dr. Lee. "You would be the first human to live among the Vesh, to learn their ways, to see how an alien society works. This is why you became a scientist." After the call ended, Minji sat thinking. She had worked all her life for a chance like this. She had studied tribal cultures in remote jungles, lived with nomads in deserts, and spent 2 years with the undersea colonies. She had learned how humans adapt to different environments. But aliens? This was beyond anything she had prepared for. That night, she visited her father's apartment. The old man was cooking dinner when she arrived. "You look worried," he said as he stirred the soup. "What's wrong?" Minji told him about the offer. As she spoke, she watched his face, looking for signs that he might ask her to stay. Do-hyun was quiet for a long time. Then he turned off the stove and faced his daughter. "When your mother and I sent you to university, we knew you would go far," he said. "We didn't know it would be this far." He smiled. "But she would be so proud. As am I." "I'll be gone for a year," said Minji. "You'll be alone." "I am old, not helpless," he said, tapping his chest. "Besides, Jinwoo next door checks on me every day. And now I can tell everyone my daughter is meeting aliens. I will be the most interesting old man in the building." 2 weeks later, Minji stood in the launch area of the International Spaceport. Around her, scientists and officials shook her hand and wished her luck. Her small ship would take her to the Vesh research vessel orbiting Neptune. The journey would take 3 weeks, even with the new fusion engines. Dr. Lee handed her a small data device. "Everything we know about the Vesh is on this. Study it on your way there." "I will," said Minji, taking the device. Her father stepped forward last, holding a small wooden box. "Your mother's bracelet," he said. "Take it with you to the stars." Minji hugged him tightly. "I'll be back," she promised. As she walked toward the ship, Minji felt the weight of what she was about to do. No human had ever lived among aliens before. Everything she would see and learn would be new to humanity. She would be making history with every note she took, every observation she made. The ship door closed behind her. Through the small window, she watched Earth grow smaller as she began her journey to meet the Vesh. After 3 weeks in space, Minji's small ship approached the Vesh research vessel. Through her window, she saw it for the first time. The alien ship was huge, at least 10 times bigger than Earth's largest space station. It looked like a giant silver flower with 6 petal-shaped sections around a central hub. "Human vessel," came a voice over her radio. "This is Vesh Research Vessel Harmony. Please follow the light path to Docking Bay 3. Minji watched as a line of blue lights appeared. guiding her ship toward an opening in one of the pedals. Her hands were steady on the controls, but her heart beat fast. She was about to meet actual aliens. The docking bay was bright and clean. As the door of her ship opened, Minji took a deep breath and stepped out. 3 figures waited for her. They looked almost human, but not quite. Their skin had a soft glow that shifted colors slightly as they moved. They were tall and thin with long fingers that had only 4 digits instead of 5. Their eyes were larger than human eyes and seemed to shine with an inner light. One of the aliens stepped forward. "Dr. Minji Park, I welcome you to Vessel Harmony. I am Research Leader Taiyo." Minji was surprised. "You speak Korean names." The alien's skin shifted to a light blue color. "We have studied your languages. I have chosen a name from your culture that you can pronounce easily. My true name would be difficult for your vocal anatomy." "Thank you, Taiyo," said Minji, bowing slightly. "I am honored to be here." Tahoe led Minji through long hallways. The other 2 Vesh followed behind them. Everything in the ship was smooth and curved, with no sharp edges anywhere. The walls glowed with a soft light, and the air smelled like fresh rain. "Your quarters have been adjusted to Earth standard gravity and atmosphere," said Tayo. "We have studied human biology and have tried to make it comfortable for you." They entered a room that looked almost like a hotel suite on Earth, except all the furniture was slightly too tall and narrow. There was a bed, a desk with a computer, and what looked like a bathroom through a side door. "You may rest now," said Tayo. "Tomorrow we will begin orientation. While you are here, I will be your guide and liaison." After the Vesh left, Minji unpacked her things. She placed her mother's bracelet on the desk and set up her research equipment. Then she recorded her first log entry. Day 1 on the Vesh vessel. The aliens appear humanoid but with clear differences. They have adopted our language and even our names for easier communication. So far, they seem peaceful and very organized. That night, Minji found it hard to sleep. The gravity felt slightly wrong, and the air had a strange taste. Plus, she kept thinking about the Vesh. They seemed so calm and logical. Did they feel emotions like humans? Did they have families? There was so much to learn. Meanwhile, back on Earth, another ship had landed. A Vesh researcher named Yoonji stepped out, blinking in the bright sunlight of Seoul, South Korea. She had been chosen to study humans in their natural habitat. Like Tahoe, she had taken a human name. Dr. Lee greeted her at the landing pad. "Welcome to Earth, Researcher Yoonji. We have prepared a research center for you." Yoonji's skin shifted to yellow as she looked around at the busy city. Humans rushed everywhere, loud and colorful and chaotic. Nothing like the calm order of a Vesh city. "Your world is very active," she said. Dr. Lee smiled. "You'll get used to it. Humans are always in a hurry." The next morning on the Vesh ship, Minji woke to a soft chime. Taeho's voice came through a speaker. "Good morning, Dr. Park. Orientation will begin in 1 hour. Please eat and prepare yourself." A panel in the wall opened, revealing a tray of food. There were things that looked like fruits and something like bread, but with strange colors. Minji took a deep breath and tried a purple fruit. It tasted sweet, like a mix of apple and honey. This was her first alien meal. As she ate, she thought about all the new things she would learn today. She was ready to begin her study of the Vesh, the first human to ever live among aliens. 2 weeks passed on the Vesh research vessel. Minji was getting used to the slightly different gravity and the strange food. Each day, she spent hours with Taho, learning about Vesh society and answering his questions about humans. Today, they sat in an observation room with a large window that looked out at Neptune. The giant blue planet filled the view, its swirling storms making patterns across its surface. "Your people live in family units," Taho said. He was taking notes on a thin, clear tablet. "This seems inefficient." Minji smiled. She had noticed that the Vesh often judged things by how efficient they were. Families are not just about efficiency. They are about love and support. Love, Tahoe repeated. His skin shifted to a soft purple color, which Minji had learned meant he was confused. This emotion is very important to humans. Yes, said Minji. Very important. She was learning that the Vesh had emotions, but they were milder than human feelings. They never seemed to get very happy or very sad or very angry. They just moved between calm states of interest, confusion, satisfaction, or mild concern. And you maintain connections with others who share only partial genetic material with you, like this father you mention often. Yes, family is not just about genetics. It's about bonds we form. Tahoe made more notes. Fascinating. Vesh only maintained close contact with our birth group, those who were grown together in the same nursery pod. This was interesting to Minji. The Vesh didn't have parents in the human sense. They were grown in special nurseries, where groups of 10 young Vesh were raised together by caretakers. Do you miss your birth group? Minji asked. Miss. Tahoe's skin flickered briefly. We acknowledge their absence, but it does not cause distress. We are all part of the greater Vesh community. Later that day, Minji returned to her quarters and found a message waiting on her computer. It was from Earth. When she opened it, she saw Dr. Lee's serious face. Minji, I wanted to let you know that your father has been taken to the hospital. He had a small stroke. The doctors say he will recover, but he will need care for a while. I know you can't come back now, but I thought you should know. Minji felt like her chest was being squeezed. Her father was sick, and she was millions of miles away. She couldn't help him. She couldn't even talk to him in real time because of the distance. Messages took hours to travel between Earth and Neptune. She recorded a reply, trying to stay calm, but tears came to her eyes. Please tell my father I love him. Tell him I'm thinking of him every day. Make sure he takes his medicine and follows the doctor's orders. The next day, Minji tried to focus on her work, but she kept thinking about her father alone in a hospital room. Tahoe noticed her distraction. You seem to be functioning at reduced capacity, he said during their morning session. I'm sorry, said Minji. I received news that my father is sick. Ah, said Tahoe. His skin turned a deep blue, which Minji hadn't seen before. This affects your work performance because of the emotional bond you mentioned. Yes, said Minji. I'm worried about him. But you cannot help him from here, said Tahoe. So worry serves no purpose. Minji felt a flash of anger. Emotions don't always serve a purpose, Tahoe. They just are. Humans can't turn them off like a switch. Tahoe's skin rippled with bands of color. He seemed startled by her sharp tone. This is valuable data, he said after a moment. Your emotional response is stronger than I predicted. Minji realized that even her worry and anger were being studied. To the Vesh, everything she did was data for their research. She took a deep breath. I'm sorry. You're right that I can't help my father from here. But humans worry about those they love even when it doesn't serve a purpose. That evening, 3 other Vesh researchers asked to meet with Minji. They had many questions about human emotions, especially about family bonds. Minji answered them all, though she felt like a specimen under a microscope. Later, alone in her room, she looked at her mother's bracelet and thought of her father. The Vesh might not understand human emotions, but they were certainly interested in them. Perhaps that was a starting point for true understanding between their species. 3 months had passed since Minji arrived on the Vesh vessel. She had learned much about their society. The Vesh lived in perfect order. They did not argue or fight. Each one knew their place and did their work without complaint. It was peaceful, but to Minji, it seemed a bit dull. One morning, Tahoe came to her quarters earlier than usual. His skin was glowing a bright green, which Minji knew meant excitement. Dr. Park, today is a special day, he said. Our research team will hold a scientific gathering. We would like you to participate. What kind of gathering? Minji asked as she followed him down the curved hallway. We have been conducting comparative studies between humans and Vesh, said Tao. Today we will share our findings and perform new tests. Director Juwu will be there. Minji had heard about Director Juwu, the leader of the Vesh research team, but had never met her. This was a big opportunity. They entered a large round room where about 20 Vesh were assembled. They all turned to look at Minji when she entered. Among them was a tall Vesh with silver streaks in her skin. Director Juwu. Welcome, Dr. Park, said Director Juwu. We are interested to see how a human approaches certain problems compared to Vesh methods. The first test was a puzzle box, a cube with many moving parts that had to be arranged in a specific way to open it. A Vesh researcher named Hana went first. She studied the box carefully, tested each part methodically, and solved it in exactly 8 minutes. Then it was Minji's turn. She turned the box in her hands, tried a few things that didn't work, then had a sudden idea. She pressed 2 parts at the same time while turning a third. The box opened in just 3 minutes. The Vesh murmured among themselves, their skin colors shifting rapidly. Interesting approach, said Director Juwu. You did not follow a logical pattern. I had a hunch, said Minji. Sometimes humans just get a feeling about the right answer. The next test involved predicting patterns in a series of complex images. Again, the Vesh researcher used careful analysis, while Minji relied partly on intuition. Both got the right answers, but Minji was faster. After several more tests, Director Juwu spoke to the group. The human brain seems to make connections that are not strictly logical. This leads to unpredictable approaches that can be either brilliant or completely wrong. We call it creativity, said Minji. It helps us think of new solutions to old problems. Show us more of this creativity, said Director Juwu. Can you make something new with these? She pointed to a table with various colored blocks on it. The Vesh researcher arranged the blocks in a perfect pyramid. It was precise and symmetrical. When it was Minji's turn, she created a small sculpture that looked like a tree with birds in its branches. It was not perfect, but it told a story. This is not just a structure, said Tao, studying Minji's creation. It represents something else. Yes, said Minji. It's art. Humans create things that express feelings or ideas. Can you teach this skill? Asked Director Juwu. Minji thought for a moment. It's not really a skill you can teach step by step. It comes from inside, from emotions and experiences. Later that day, Taho took Minji to a room she had never seen before. It was filled with objects from Earth, books, paintings, music recordings, and more. We have been studying human culture for many years, said Tao. But we do not understand this. He pointed to a painting of a sunset over mountains. Why do humans spend time creating things that have no practical use? Our analysis shows that humans devote much energy to these artistic activities. Minji smiled. Because they bring us joy. They help us express things we can't say with just words. They make life worth living. Taho's skin turned that confused purple color again. Worth living. Life is worth living because it is life. For humans, it's not that simple, said Minji. We need meaning, beauty, connection. As they left the room, Minji realized something important. The Vesh, for all their advanced technology, could not create true art. They could copy things perfectly, but they couldn't imagine something new. They lacked the spark of creativity that came from human emotions and dreams. And they knew it. That's why they were so interested in her. They wanted to understand what they were missing. Minji woke to a loud alarm. Red lights flashed in her room. She jumped out of bed, heart racing. Something was wrong. The door slid open, and Taho rushed in. His skin was flashing between orange and red, a sign of distress Minji had never seen before. What's happening? She asked, quickly pulling on her clothes. A system failure in Section 6, said Tao. Several critical systems are down, including life support in 2 sections. We must go to the command center. They hurried through the corridors. Other Vesh moved quickly but calmly, following what seemed like well-practiced emergency procedures. In the command center, Director Juwu stood before a large screen showing a map of the ship. Parts of it were flashing red. Around her, Vesh technicians worked at control panels. "The cooling system in Section 6 has failed," Director Juwu explained when she saw Minji. "It has caused a power surge that damaged other systems. Life support is failing in Sections 5 and 6. Are people in danger?" asked Minji. "There are 23 Vesh in those sections, including 8 young ones from the nursery pod," said Tao. "They have emergency air supplies, but those will only last 4 hours." Minji watched as the Vesh implemented their emergency plans. Each one had a specific job. They worked efficiently, but they were all doing exactly what they had been trained to do, no more, no less. After an hour, it became clear their standard procedures were not fixing the problem. The damage was worse than expected. The Vesh began to show signs of stress, their skin colors flashing rapidly. "The main power conduit to Section 6 is completely burned out," reported a technician. "We cannot restore life support without it. The repair teams cannot reach the damaged area," said another. "The corridor is blocked by a fallen support beam." Director Juwu's skin was now a deep, worried orange. "If we follow standard procedures, we will not reach them in time." Minji had been quietly observing, but now she spoke up. "What if we try something different?" All the Vesh turned to look at her. "I see on your map that there's a maintenance tunnel that runs near Section 6, she said, pointing to the screen. "Could someone crawl through that to reach the damaged conduit from another direction?" "The tunnel is too small for an adult Vesh," said Tao. "But I'm smaller than you," said Minji. "I could fit." Director Juwu looked doubtful. The tunnel was not designed for access to the power systems. There is no protocol for such an approach. "Sometimes we need to go beyond protocols," said Minji. "Those children need help now." After some debate, they agreed to try Minji's plan. It was risky, but they were running out of options. Tahoe led Minji to the entrance of the maintenance tunnel. It was indeed small, barely big enough for her to crawl through. He gave her a toolkit and a communicator. "I will guide you from here," he said. His skin was now a mix of worried orange and hopeful green. "The damage should be 30 meters in, at junction point 42B. Minji entered the tunnel on her hands and knees. It was dark and hot. She crawled forward, following Tahoe's directions through the communicator. After 20 minutes of difficult crawling, she reached the damaged area. "I can see the burned conduit," she told Tahoe. "It's completely melted. We cannot replace it," said Tahoe. "Can you bypass it somehow?" Minji thought quickly. She remembered something from her college physics class. "If I connect these secondary lines directly and reroute the power flow, it might work as a temporary fix." "That is not in the repair manual," said Tahoe. "It could cause more damage." "Or it could save those children," said Minji. "Sometimes you have to take a chance." After a moment of silence, Director Juwu's voice came through the communicator. "Proceed, Dr. Park. We have no better options." Minji worked quickly, using tools in ways they weren't designed to be used. She cut cables, joined others, and created a bypass around the damaged conduit. It wasn't pretty, but it might work. "Ready to test," she said, wiping sweat from her face. "Activating power now," said Tahoe. For a terrible moment, nothing happened. Then the lights in the tunnel flickered on. Through her communicator, Minji heard cheers. "Life support is coming back online in Section 6, said Tahoe, his voice filled with relief. "Oxygen levels are rising. The young ones will be safe." As Minji crawled back through the tunnel, she smiled to herself. The perfectly logical, always by the book Vesh had just learned an important human lesson. Sometimes you have to improvise. After the crisis, things changed on the Vesh ship. The Vesh treated Minji differently. They asked her more questions about human problem solving. Even Director Juwu sought her input on technical issues. Minji had earned their respect. One evening, Minji sat in her quarters reviewing data from Earth. The Vesh had given her access to reports from Yunji, the Vesh researcher studying humans. As she read through them, something bothered her. Yunji's reports seemed to focus only on certain aspects of human behavior. Minji noticed that Yunji wrote a lot about conflicts she saw on Earth, arguments between people, competition in workplaces, news about wars and fights. But there was almost nothing about cooperation, kindness, or people helping each other. The next day, Minji asked Taiyo about this during their morning meeting. Researcher Yunji seems to focus mainly on human conflicts, she said. Why is that? Taiyo's skin shifted to a light blue color. He seemed uncomfortable. Yunji is recording observations that are relevant to our research goals. Which are what exactly? Asked Minji. She had a feeling something important was being hidden from her. Taiyo was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Perhaps it is time you knew. Please come with me." He led Minji to a part of the ship she had never visited before. They entered a large room filled with screens showing images of Earth and other planets she didn't recognize. Director Juwu was there, along with several senior Vesh researchers. They looked up as Minji and Taiyo entered. Dr. Park has questions about our research focus, Taiyo explained. Director Juwu nodded. It is time she understood. She turned to Minji. Please sit. Minji sat in a chair that adjusted to fit her human body. Director Juwu stood before a large screen that showed Earth from space. Dr. Park, the Vesh have been studying emerging civilizations for thousands of years, she said. We monitor species that develop technology and begin to explore space. The screen changed to show different alien worlds and strange beings Minji had never seen before. Some of these species developed peacefully and now are part of the galactic community, continued Director Juwu. Others destroyed themselves through war or damaged their planets beyond repair. And how do you see humans? Asked Minji, beginning to understand. Director Juwu's skin turned a serious dark blue. Humans concern us. Your technological development is extremely rapid, much faster than most species, yet your emotional control and social harmony lag behind. You think we're dangerous, said Minji. We think you are unpredictable, corrected Taiyo. Your kind can be incredibly cooperative or deeply violent, often within the same day. Director Juwu nodded. Our true mission is not just to study humans, but to assess whether your species should be welcomed into the galactic community or contained. Contained. Minji felt cold. What does that mean? It means limitations would be placed on human expansion beyond your solar system, said Taiyo, for the safety of all. Minji stood up, angry now. You're judging us unfairly. Yes, humans fight and compete, but we also create art, music, literature. We care for each other. We sacrifice for strangers. Yunji's reports only show one side of humanity. We see the evidence, said Director Juwu, showing images of wars and environmental damage on Earth. Humans are capable of great destruction and great compassion, countered Minji. Did Yunji report about the global cooperation after the Pacific tsunami, or the international effort to save the Arctic wildlife, or how strangers line up to give blood after disasters? The Vesh looked at each other, their skin colors shifting rapidly as they communicated in their own way. These positive behaviors are noted, said Taiyo, but considered statistical anomalies. Minji shook her head. They're not anomalies. They're just as much a part of who we are as the conflicts. You can't judge humanity by looking at only our worst moments. Director Juwu studied Minji for a long moment. You have given us much to consider, Dr. Park. Perhaps our analysis has been incomplete. As Minji left the room with Taiyo, she felt both worried and determined. The Vesh were deciding humanity's future based on a flawed understanding of who humans really were. Somehow, she had to show them the full picture, not just humanity's capacity for conflict, but also our capacity for love, creativity, and growth. She had to convince them that human emotions weren't a weakness to fear, but a strength that even the Vesh might learn from. Minji couldn't sleep that night. She kept thinking about what she had learned. The Vesh were judging all of humanity based on an incomplete picture. Their decision could limit human exploration for generations to come. By morning, she had made up her mind. She requested an urgent meeting with Director Juwu. 2 hours later, Minji stood in the director's private office. The room was simple but elegant, with a large window showing the stars. Director Juwu sat behind a curved desk, her skin a calm, neutral blue. "You wish to speak with me, Dr. Park," said the director. "Yes," said Minji, standing tall despite her nervousness. "I want to propose a challenge." Director Juwu's skin rippled with interest. "What kind of challenge?" "I believe your research on humans is too narrow," said Minji. "You're focusing on our conflicts and ignoring our cooperation. I propose a new project to show you the complete picture of humanity." "And how would you do this?" asked Director Juwu. "Let me work directly with Yunji on Earth," said Minji. "Allow us to set up a joint human-Vesh research team. We'll study how humans solve problems together, how we create, how we build communities. I'll show you that our emotions aren't just a source of conflict. They're also our greatest strength." Director Juwu was quiet for a long moment. Her skin shifted through several colors as she considered. "This is unusual," she said finally. "We have never allowed a subject species to influence our research methods." "Maybe that's why you've missed important aspects of other species," said Minji boldly. To her surprise, Director Juwu's skin flashed a brief green. Amusement. "You are very direct, Dr. Park. This is a human trait I have come to appreciate." The director tapped her fingers on her desk, thinking. "Very well. I will approve this challenge. You may establish direct communication with researcher Yunji and create a joint project. Show us what we have missed about humanity." Minji could hardly believe it had worked. "Thank you, Director. You won't regret this." Later that day, Tahoe helped Minji set up a direct communication link with Earth. After a brief delay, Yunji's face appeared on the screen. The Vesh researcher looked tired but interested. "Dr. Park," said Yunji, "this is unexpected. Director Juwu has informed me of your challenge." Minji smiled. "I've read your reports, Yunji. You've been very thorough in studying human conflicts and competitions, but there's so much more to us than that." "Such as?" asked Yunji, her skin showing curious yellow patterns. "Let me show you," said Minji. She sent Yunji a series of files. Videos of people working together after disasters, stories of scientific breakthroughs achieved through international cooperation, examples of humans sacrificing for strangers. "These behaviors seem inefficient," said Yunji as she reviewed the files. "Why would humans help others with no benefit to themselves?" "Because it feels right," said Minji. "Because it gives meaning to our lives. I want to set up a new research project focusing on human cooperation, creativity, and compassion. Will you help me?" Yunji's skin shifted colors as she considered. "This would provide more complete data. Yes, I will participate in this project." Over the next few weeks, Minji and Yunji worked together despite being separated by millions of miles. They designed new studies and gathered new data. Tahoe joined their team, becoming more and more interested in understanding human emotions rather than just observing them. One day, Tahoe asked Minji a question that surprised her. "These human traits, compassion, creativity, hope, they seem to drive much of your progress as a species. Yet they come from the same emotional capacity that creates your conflicts. How do you balance these forces?" Minji thought about it. "We don't always balance them well. But when we do, when we channel our emotions toward connection rather than division, we can accomplish amazing things." Tahoe's skin showed a new color pattern, one Minji had never seen before. "I believe," he said slowly, "that there is much the Vesh could learn from humans." Minji smiled. This was the first time any Vesh had suggested that humans might have something to teach them. It was a small victory, but an important one. The challenge was just beginning, but already Something was changing in how the Vesh saw humanity. 2 months had passed since Minji began her joint research project with Yunji. Their work was showing results. The Vesh were beginning to see a more complete picture of humanity, not just our conflicts, but also our cooperation, creativity, and growth. One day, Minji and Teo were analyzing data in the main research lab. Screens around them showed charts and images from Earth. "Your species is full of contradictions," said Teo. "You fight wars, yet you risk your lives to save strangers. You compete fiercely, yet you give freely to those in need. That's what makes us human," said Minji with a smile. "We contain multitudes." Tahoe's skin showed thoughtful blue patterns. "I have been studying your human history. For thousands of years, you made only small advances. Then, in just a few centuries, your technology exploded forward. Why?" Minji considered this. "I think it's because we dream. We imagine things that don't exist yet, and then we try to make them real." "The Vesh do not dream this way," said Tao. "We improve what exists. We perfect what is known. But we rarely imagine what could be." This was a surprising admission. Minji realized Tao was telling her something important about Vesh civilization. "Your people have reached a plateau, haven't you?" she asked gently. Tahoe's skin flickered, confirming her guess. "Yes, for the past 3,000 years, Vesh advancement has slowed significantly. We have perfected our society. We live in harmony, but we no longer make great leaps forward. Because perfect logic doesn't create breakthroughs," said Minji. "Those come from imagination, from crazy ideas, from people who don't follow the rules." Before Tahoe could respond, Minji received an urgent message on her tablet. It was from Earth. Her heart sank as she read it. "What is wrong?" asked Tahoe, noticing her expression. "My father," said Minji softly. "He died last night." The news hit her hard. Though she had known her father was sick, she had hoped to see him again when she returned to Earth. Now that would never happen. Tears filled her eyes. Tahoe watched her with fascination and concern. "You are leaking water from your visual organs." Despite her sadness, Minji almost laughed at his clinical description of tears. "It's crying, Tahoe. Humans do it when we feel great sadness." "I will leave you alone to process your grief," said Tahoe, moving toward the door. "No," said Minji. "Please stay. Humans often don't want to be alone when they're sad." Tahoe seemed confused but sat down beside her. They were quiet for a while as Minji wiped her tears. "Tell me about your father," said Tahoe finally. Minji smiled through her tears. "He was a teacher. He loved books and nature. He taught me to be curious about the world. When I was little, he took me camping under the stars. That's when I first dreamed of meeting beings from other worlds." As she spoke about her father, sharing memories and stories, something remarkable happened. Tahoe's skin began to show new patterns, complex swirls of blue and green that Minji had never seen before. "Are you all right?" she asked. "I am experiencing something unusual," said Tahoe. "As you speak of your father, I am sensing echoes of your emotion. It is not unpleasant, but it is powerful." Minji realized what was happening. "Tahoe, I think you're feeling empathy. You're connecting with my feelings. Is this how humans always experience the world? With this resonance to others' emotions?" "Yes," said Minji. "It's what binds us together. It's why we help strangers, why we create art, why we sacrifice for others. We feel connected." Later that day, Director Jiwoo called Minji to her office. Tahoe was already there when she arrived. "Researcher Tahoe has shared a fascinating observation with me," said Director Jiwoo. "He believes the Vesh have something important to learn from humans." "What?" asked Minji, surprised. "Emotional connection," said Tahoe. "For thousands of years, the Vesh have seen emotions as primitive and inefficient. We built a society based on pure logic and cooperation. But in doing so, we may have lost something essential. The drive to create, said Director Juwu. The passion to explore. The deep bonds that motivate sacrifice and innovation. Minji looked at them both, amazed. The Vesh, these advanced, logical beings, were admitting they might have taken a wrong path somewhere in their development. Your grief for your father has shown us something profound. Dr. Park, said Director Juwu. We are deeply sorry for your loss, but know that it has helped us see humanity in a new light. 1 year had passed since Minji first arrived on the Vesh research vessel. Today was her last day. She stood in the observation room, looking out at Neptune's blue surface. The giant planet had become familiar to her, almost like a friend. Behind her, the door opened. Taiho entered, his skin glowing with a warm golden color that Minji had come to recognize as friendship. The transport ship is ready, he said. The crew awaits you. Minji nodded. I can't believe it's time to go home. Much has changed in 1 Earth year, said Taiho. That was an understatement. The Vesh High Council had reviewed all the research from both Minji and Yunji. They had completely changed their assessment of humanity. Instead of seeing humans as dangerous and unpredictable, they now saw potential in human creativity and emotional connections. Director Juwu appeared at the door. It is time for our final meeting, Dr. Park. In the main conference room, several high-ranking Vesh had gathered, including some who had traveled from the Vesh homeworld to meet Minji. Their skin colors shifted in patterns of respect when she entered. Dr. Minji Park, said Director Juwu formally. We have completed our assessment of humanity. Based on our findings, the High Council has made a decision. Minji held her breath. This was the moment that would determine humanity's future relationship with the Vesh. Humanity will not be contained, said Director Juwu. Instead, we propose a partnership. Minji let out her breath in relief. Your species has something we need, continued Director Juwu. For thousands of years, the Vesh have built a perfect society based on logic and order. But we have lost something important along the way. We have lost the spark of creativity, the drive of passion, the power of deep emotional bonds. One of the Vesh from the homeworld spoke up. We wish to learn from humans, not just study you, but learn with you. The High Council has approved a permanent exchange program, said Director Juwu. Vesh researchers will live among humans, and human teachers will be invited to Vesh worlds. We will share technology and knowledge, and humans will share humanity. Minji could hardly believe what she was hearing. This is wonderful news. Earth will be thrilled. There is more, said Taiho. The Council has appointed you as the first human ambassador to the Vesh. If you accept, you will help establish the exchange program. Minji thought of her apartment on Earth, now empty with her father gone. She thought of the work she had done here, the connections she had made. I accept, she said. Later, as Minji packed her things, she wrote her final report. She described how she had come to study aliens, but ended up helping them study humanity instead. She wrote about the Vesh, who had built a perfect society, but had lost the messy, beautiful chaos that drives innovation. And she wrote about humans, with all our flaws and conflicts, but also our deep capacity for love, creativity, and growth. As she finished her report, there was a knock at her door. Taiho entered, carrying a small silver object. A gift, he said, handing it to her. It is traditional among Vesh to give a token when new paths are chosen. The object was a small sculpture, not perfectly symmetrical like typical Vesh creations, but slightly uneven. It showed 2 figures, one human and one Vesh, reaching toward each other. Taiho, Minji gasped. Did you make this yourself? His skin rippled with shy blue patterns. It is not well crafted, but it is from my heart, as humans would say. Minji smiled. The Vesh were already learning. The next day, Minji boarded the transport ship that would take her back to Earth. Taiho stood at the airlock to say goodbye. I will see you on Earth soon, he said. I have been selected as the first Vesh exchange scholar. Minji felt a rush of happiness. I'll show you everything. oceans, mountains, cities, music, art. I look forward to experiencing the chaos of humanity, said Tayo, his skin glowing with anticipation. As the ship pulled away from the Vesh vessel, Minji watched Neptune grow smaller in the window. She had come here to study aliens, but in the end, they had studied humanity and found something valuable that they themselves had lost. It was a new beginning for both species. The logical, ordered Vesh would learn emotion and creativity from humans, and humans would gain knowledge and wisdom from the Vesh. Together, perhaps they would build something greater than either could achieve alone. Minji smiled as Earth grew larger in her view screen. She couldn't wait to tell everyone that humanity's greatest strength had never been our technology or our logic. It had been our heart all along.